No, come through with the royalty-free music. I don't know. This is the kind of music you like. You like this type of music. Hey, Ryan. It's royalty-free music because we're not.
I know where you got it from.
Yeah, we can't play the other stuff because they keep shutting me down. So I gotta play the royalty-free music. So here we are. Royalty-free music it is. Hello, everyone joining. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Sam. How is everyone this Thursday? It's going to be quite the show. It is going to be quite the show.
What are we talking about?
How do you not remember what we're talking about when you chose the topic? Toxicity.
Oh yeah, toxicity.
What do you have going on? We live in the same house. What do you got going on that you...
I just didn't remember exactly what the topic was.
Okay. I mean, you say you got a lot going on. We live in the same house, so I figure out what you got going on. You can't remember.
Okay. Oh, so we don't want no silent air. So anyways, welcome to FYF, also known as Fuck Your Feelings Thursday. We are back at it once again. As we've mentioned, we do this every Thursday, 6:30 Arizona time.
6:30 Pacific time.
6:30 Pacific time.
9:30 Eastern.
9:30 Eastern. It'll be changing.
It will not.
Uh-huh.
It will always be 6:30 Pacific. This is why I don't say Arizona time, because the change that happens. So 6:30 will always be 6:30 Pacific. Always going to be 9:30 Eastern. Okay. I never mention Arizona.
Okay, so you figured out a way to.
That's always the same time.
That.
Yes, I did.
So, anyways, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, and welcome to those that have joined. We are on Instagram. We're also simulcasting to StreamYard. If you ever want to hop over there and jump in there, we're also going live on StreamYard.
On YouTube to put it on YouTube.
Pushing it through on YouTube. And tonight we're going to be talking about the topic of toxic. Like, it's such a popular term in today's language. Ask anybody why their last relationship failed. The other person was toxic. And we were gonna we're gonna talk about what is toxic a little bit, and it can't always be the other person.
Yeah, and it's funny, you're so right. I've only been hearing it the last few years. Toxic, and they were narcissistic.
Yeah, narcissist is getting thrown around a lot.
Right? So he was a narcissist, he was toxic, but then you go further and it was like, but I have 2 kids with him and I was with him for 6 years. So when did the toxic narcissistic behavior show up that you manage in between that to have 2 kids and stay with the person for 6 years?
Yeah. Kind of like Neo and his wife. It went from they got remarried earlier this year to now he's the world's worst husband and just a terrible person overall.
Because apparently, I think the new news is that he got his side chick pregnant.
It's not a good look, but what they say, cry in a Bentley or cry in a Camry. Which one you want to do, lady? I think she wants to do both. That's why she's filing that divorce, because if she's got a legitimate proof of his infidelity,
then she's gonna get money.
She can go ahead and hit them pockets, and Neo gonna be back on Dancing with the Stars or some shit like that.
He wasn't on Dancing with the Stars, but so you think you can dance?
Whatever it was, he's gonna be dancing again. Like she heard me.
And then there was what is his name, Blueface and Christian this week as well, getting into an argument. I don't know even know who those two people are.
Apparently, they've been doing this though for a while. This is kind of their thing.
They fight each other on Instagram.
She's a fighter. She's fought his.
Yeah, he fought his mother and his sister. I read about that.
Yeah, she's something else.
I don't know if we would be together if I got into a fight with your mama and your sister. Like, I think that would be the end of that relationship.
That type of behavior. I don't know. And again, it's like we're saying, how is it so toxic if you're steadily dealing with it? A person can't be toxic by themselves. That's kind of the debate that we had and came up with. Is just look, you're just something about you enjoys it. Like you're sitting over there eating it up, or you're the desire that this person is going to be different for you, or whatever it is that's got you in that situation. You're participating.
And just so everyone knows, I'm putting my head down to actually define toxic. Like what exactly?
Dictionary.
No, I'm going to go into the Webster dictionary, right? So, and that's what I want. I want the technical term, and then I will go into the Urban Dictionary for the other term. So the technical definition of toxic is containing or being poisonous material, especially when capable of causing death or serious debilitation. Number 2 is exhibiting symptoms of infection or toxosis. Number 3, extremely harsh, malicious, or harmful. And number 4, relating to or being an asset that has lost so much value that it cannot be sold on the market. That's actually a good one. I'm going to repeat that one. Relating to or being an asset that has lost so much value that it cannot be sold on the market.
That probably is a good one, because that's how some of that behavior would probably get described as ain't nobody dealing with that. And if you find yourself in a relationship where you're like, it's just them, I've never, then you need to get out of that situation, because that's not you definitely, a good relationship won't have you stepping out of character for drama or to maintain it.
So the Urban Dictionary defines it as an adjective used to describe usually very negative person that bitches about everything, spread unnecessary hate, or just talk shit about others. That's how the Urban Dictionary defines it.
There's a lot of toxic people as far as just talking shit about others. That's kind of social media, isn't it?
But to me, it's like, again, when growing up in our age, when it was you actually took the literal terms of things, like the literal definition, right? I get back to toxic being poisonous. Like, you are poisonous, you are harmful to me, you cause harm in my life, right? If I ingest anything toxic, I get rushed to the hospital, right? Toxic, caution, all of those things. So if the person in your life is coming with a caution sign, why are you getting with them?
Skull and crossbones.
Yes, why are you getting with them? And if they were sweet and wonderful in the beginning, because that's usually the conversation that people had. He or she was never that way in the beginning. But when did they start exhibiting those characteristics to the point where you still decided to stay? Because a lot of people would like to think that being toxic in a relationship, they're trying to almost describe it as the same way as being like a domestic violence victim, right? You know, a DV victim, they say it takes so many times to leave and all of these things will happen. So people will be like, oh my God, they were so toxic. But somehow you were attracted, you kept going back. You're supposed to be repulsed by something that's toxic, not attracted to it.
And not keep doing it over and over and over again. I think like that Kendrick Lamar song, that's a toxic relationship where they just
they're going back and
forth, and then the next thing you know,
I
love you. They smooching, they back in bed, they kissing. To me, that's kind of the definition of a toxic relationship. Is there's a whole lot of drama, but then there's a makeup, and then there's more drama, and then there's a makeup, and then there's more drama. And
so, are you addicted to the drama?
Could be. And I think I think ultimately for that cycle to end, one of the people just has to say, like, no, like, enough is enough. I it's time to call it DOA or whatever you want to call it, but someone has to break away from it because otherwise, I mean, I think that there's no expiration date on being in a toxic relationship.
No, because it's
People
a cycle.
like you have me bugging with watching Catfish, where I didn't realize people be having long distance, never met you before relationships for like 10 years. That's wild to me. I was like, damn, it's that hard out here?
It's hard in these streets. So Yemi Murphy, hey cuz, she says, or you start to think that the cycle is normal. Maybe this is what a relationship is supposed to look like.
It could be a part of that because I think that, like, okay, here's one. It's like there's kind of two different type of people, and I don't think it's right or wrong or negative or positive or anything. I think people are just wired differently. Like some people like really like a peaceful, like not a lot of like namaste type of relationship. But some people like a spicy type of relationship. They like the passion, as they call it, or fire, or however you want to define
Fiery
it.
relationship.
And that is more like argumentative, confrontational, a little bit more in your face. And like, again, that's where you kind of have to match up with somebody that's like you, because if that's your idea of a normal relationship, is you don't love me if your blood pressure doesn't get up about me and yada yada yada, then you need to be with someone like that, and y'all can argue and make up for the next 50 years. And then if you're more of a person that just likes that cool, copacetic, cooperative type of situation, then you really need to be with someone that's on board with that. Like, that gets like, if I do this, then the peace will be maintained, and there's no reason to be like, I don't. I think you're one or the other though.
Here's my issue with that, and I agree, Yami. I think that is something that happens, but at a certain point, that is no longer an excuse. We are exposed to so many different ideals of relationship now that it's not normal. Like, I think people know this is not normal. You get exposed to so many things. Social media, yes, social media exposes you to toxic relationships, but when you go looking for it, it also exposes you to really good relationships. OWN Network has eons and eons of shows about Black love and what it truly means to be in a relationship. And, again, the back and forth. So when people say, well, that's what it is, like, are you only in your box? We live in a world where that box no longer exists, right? We don't have that box so much. Like, even if you haven't traveled outside of your neighborhood, you've got social media that allows you to partake. So if you're saying that this is normal, it's because you want it to be normal. In my mind, you want this to be normal because it excuses you to stay, because that requires you to change behavior. And I think that's the reality. We really have to take accountability, because I think people just don't want to change their behavior. And so instead of saying, I have to change my behavior, you were toxic. And because I think that's normal, because I've never been exposed to anything else, or I never had a father in my life. Again, too much fraternity core, right?
Like, there's watch that. Like,
right.
I don't think you give credit to. Yeah, social media is a powerful, and it allows you a lot of different perspectives. But let's be frank, most people don't use it for that. Most people use it to reinforce their beliefs.
Exactly, because they choose to. They're choosing not to see the other side, because to do so would make them have to take accountability for the choices that they're making.
Oh yeah, nobody is really taking accountability. It's a society where it's real easy to point the finger at some external force that's keeping your life jacked up.
Yes, it's somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of the time for me where I have that issue of, hey, what was so toxic about the person, yet you were attracted to them?
Or maybe you're toxic too. Like,
well, no, you have to be. Listen, You have to be toxic to stay in a toxic relationship. I'm sorry. You have to admit, if Rob lost his crap here and every other day he's coming in here yelling and screaming, and I'm putting dinner on the table and he's taking his hand and throwing it away, I'm going to tell you about a week of that and I'm packing my stuff and I'm out. I'm not. I mean, after I've had an MRI on his brain just to make sure ain't nothing gone wrong and we need to fix that. But I'm not staying. I'm not staying and arguing with him. I'm not doing that because that's just not who I am. That's not what I consider a healthy relationship. We have boundaries in this relationship, and he would have stepped over the boundaries. I'm not staying. I'm not staying waiting for you to be different. And I'm not engaging with you because to do so is going to bring me down a path that I don't want to interrupt my peace. So the reality is we have determined we want a peaceful relationship. Some people like toxic because, again, they want that fiery. They don't want peace, because if you want peace, you don't stay in toxic relationship for 6 years and have 2 babies. I just, you know what? I hear it too many times on Kendra G. I heard it too many times on Kevin Samuels. I hear it too many times on Paternity Court. I see it way too much in social media that the person was so toxic, but I still managed to give them children. Give them my years. 6 years, 2 years, 6 months, 3 years. That's years you can't get back. To be poisoned solely every day.
I get it, but those same type of people are just looking for the next relationship for that person to be toxic and spend however long it takes to spin that relationship out. It's like I said, I really believe there's certain people that they get in relationships just so they can be able to blame somebody else for the situations going on with them.
Yes, because it's lack of accountability.
Yeah, that's that's the way things move, is point to something external as the reason you can't get whatever together. And I don't know, to me that just reminds me of like no self-discipline. Like, I don't care what's going on externally. If you're going to go work out, you go work out.
Yeah.
You know, oh, it was snowing. People go to the
gym
gym
in the snow. And if it was snow, guess what? You can still work at home.
Yeah.
There's alternatives, right? So
Yeah.
Twin said we have a lot of lazy people, and I agree. There is a lot of lazy people.
Physically and mentally.
Agreed.
And emotionally, I would even make the argument that it's just really juvenile type of feelings get indulged heavily in this society. You don't really have people peeling the layers back on the onion to really get to know a person because they're too busy being toxic.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's get personal. I mean, we get personal all the time. Now, our relationship is not toxic, clearly. But have you ever been in a toxic relationship, or one you would describe that had toxic traits?
Absolutely. Well, you know this already.
Well, tell the people that don't know.
You know, again, with my kid's mom, like, it was very, very, I felt like I spent a humongous chunk of that relationship out of character, you know. That was kind of the first time in my life I had been in a situation like that. And it took me a bit to be like, yo, these apologies don't mean nothing. This person is not going to change. This person is not going to be able to do anything other than what they continue to do. And you just have to make the decision for yourself as far as I'm not going to deal with that no more.
What did you consider toxic about what was happening in the relationship? Because I think people don't seem to have a clear definition of what is toxic and what it's not. Because again, some people think that if you're not jealous in a relationship, that means you don't love me, or some bullcrap like that.
A lot of arguing, a lot of fussing, a lot of frustration, a lot of talking about things that have happened already instead of talking about what is going to happen. The plans that you made moving forward don't hold up very long because it's right back to the old stuff. And then the reason for being back to the old stuff is always the things that have happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's, to me, kind of was I'd like to summarize it. It was, you know, if you make a mistake or if a person makes a mistake against you,
Mm-hmm.
it's up to you whether you're gonna forgive them and move on,
Okay.
or whether you're gonna forgive them and use that as like something that you're gonna constantly use as like, oh, this was the original sin, this was the original sin. So since that happened, I can't behave in a different way, or I can't get over it, or I can't get past it. And that's
So move
again
on.
justification for
Move
I'm
on.
just gonna keep on having a reason for drama, which is the Civil War. You know, imagine if we were still fighting about the Civil War.
I don't have time for that. So Twins makes a good point. Says most of our parents was toxic. Let's hold on to that one
He's
for a
got a bit of a
second.
point.
What
If
are
they
your
tried
thoughts
to
about
stay
that?
together, yeah. Because a lot of our parents, like this, okay, this baby mamas and having kids with people you ain't really in relationships with, and this circle and dysfunction is not really new.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pervasive now. What was once kind of like still frowned upon, like, yeah, like you said, our parents were toxic. They might not have had and I think especially a lot of parents should not have had children because they didn't have an ability to really be together long
Mm-hmm.
term. One wanted to go left, one wanted to go right. And man, this is going to sound tough, but it's accountability on both sides. Because for the guy, it's kind of like, yo, how are you dealing with a woman that's uncoachable, that doesn't listen to you, that you say right and she thinks left, and she's going left without you, like she ain't even caring about what you're doing. How are you dealing with that? And on the flip of that, to the woman, I would say, and if he's constantly saying, let's go right, and you constantly feel like left is the direction to be going, why are you with this dude? Like, you obviously don't trust him. You obviously don't believe in his leadership. You obviously don't believe in where he's taking you. So what are you doing?
Well, Twins followed up and said a lot of these adults today either saw mom or dad be in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, and they kind of normalized it.
So I will talk about my own situation with my daughter. I remember when I was getting to the end of a relationship with her dad, and people asked why we weren't going to stay together. I said, I would rather my daughter see us in two separate happy homes than one miserable one. And the direction we were going in was we were going to be in one miserable one. And that was something that I didn't want her to have. I would rather her have two happy parents separately. And that's basically what she ended up getting. She ended up getting two happy parents separately that did their own things and managed to still co-parent well enough. We got better the older she got, and the older we got, because we were 21 and 24 when she was born, and the older we got better. But that was something that for me was important, and I think it stemmed from my own childhood, right? Like I am a product of an affair, and I was actually raised by my father and my stepmom. And so, being a young child, I didn't see the toxic, but as I got older, I understood that situation is clearly toxic, but I didn't see it. I actually was, raised with great parents. But I will tell you, I've always said that my biological mom and my father, I never wanted to get them together. Never wanted to them together. They were just so different. My dad had a very calm demeanor, and my mother she would have drove him crazy. And so for me, it was one of those things as a child, I was one of those kids who wouldn't be like, oh my God, I wish my parents were together. I absolutely did not wish for my parents to be together because I knew that they were so very different. And I truly believe that if people are not going to be good together, then they should be apart. It's not for me.
Yeah, I think that's really where that's where the rubber hits the road is you should see. I think in a toxic relationship, you'll also maybe what keeps people in it is you'll probably see like progress and then start over, like progress and then reset, like progress and then reset. So the progress gives that illusion that the
That you're
relationship
going
is
forward.
going somewhere, but it doesn't because you just keep resetting because of these traumatic situations, these toxic situations that Blueface and Chrissy in, they're getting along fine, everything's been good, and then next thing you know, y'all walking down the street and
I hit a big
she
old fight.
punches you in your eye, and
Yeah.
you're just like, what the hell? Because she saw something in your phone, or Lord knows what the hell be going on in that situation.
Here is what I think is one of the bases of a toxic relationship is me knowing your triggers and triggering them.
I think I saw something on social media that was like, you're in a toxic relationship if you hear yourself saying stuff like, why you gotta act like that? We've been doing good. I think that's really a benchmark of it. Is like, oh, we've been doing so good. Why are you getting back to that? Because you're focusing on the good part of it instead of the bad. And yeah, in that kind of relationship, I think you need to focus on the bad if it's going to keep manifesting and rearing its head up and popping up. Like if you can't get more than a month without getting into a disrespectful, screaming at the top of your lungs, hollering, not caring what you're saying, argument, then that's maybe you need to focus on that.
Well, maybe they need to fuck their feelings, because that's what happens in toxic relationships. You hurt my feelings, and so I know your triggers because I'm with you, and so I start triggering them because you've now hurt my feelings.
When you react, I'm gonna be like, you're so crazy, or
ha 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 ha.
The reaction is what that's how I know I bothered you, or there's a degree of that also, definitely.
Because it's the tit for tat, right? You did something to me, so I'm gonna do something to you, and we go back and forth on this volley thing instead of walking away and saying, why am I doing this? Why am I allowing this?
How many times on your show, Paternity Court, have you heard, oh, he cheated on me?
And so I went out and cheated for him.
Cheated on him.
And now I'm pregnant, don't know who the baby daddy is.
And don't know who the father is.
Tit for tat doesn't work in relationships.
Doesn't work like that. You cannot out-hoe a man. It's not in your pedigree.
And we shouldn't be trying to out-hoe anybody if you're in a relationship.
I don't think it's an aspirational thing for females, period.
It should not be. That should not be so you've gone out and cheated on me. You know what? I'm gonna go cheat on you and show you. Like, no, that's not healthy. That's like, to me, a lot of people will, like, for them, they don't even understand what healthy looks like because they haven't defined it. A healthy relationship is what you've defined as a healthy relationship. But people are getting into relationships without actually having real conversations about even being in a relationship. Again, a lot of women are in relationships with single men. I say it all the time. It's not very often that men are in relationships with single women. But a ton of women are out here claiming relationships that a man's like, hold on, now sis, we're not in a relationship. We kicking it. Like, we are kicking it.
Yeah, and it's I know this is going to be deflating to some females, but you don't get the same points that a man gets for who you have sex with. Like,
I think most women understand that. They don't I think they understand it. They don't want to deal with it, but I think they understand that a woman's body count is not the same as a man. And again, Judge Lynn tells them all the time, at the end of the day, this tit for tat don't work because, again, you are the one sitting in paternity court trying to figure out who your baby daddy is. We get pregnant and we carry the burden of what it means to have our pum pum all out in the street. So no, how could you possible when they're one night stand babies? One night stand babies don't happen because of men, they happen because of women. Women choose that. So again, the tit for tat, to me, if you're a tit for tat person, you're toxic. If my natural inclination is Rob does something to me, so I'm gonna do something to him, instead of, again, stopping and being mature enough to say, okay, why does that bother me? Why does he do it? Why do I allow him to do it to me? And after dealing with all of that, having a conversation with you and saying, listen, this, whatever it is It makes me feel a certain type of way. It makes me think certain things. And we need to have a conversation about it, because if it continues down this path, I don't know if I can stay in this relationship in a way that's healthy for both of us. That's a proper relationship.
So is a competitive relationship toxic?
It depends on how competitive you want to be. If you're competing in terms of, achievements and successes and wanting to push each other to do your best, no, no, as long as you've defined what that looks like. And I'm not trying to, cut your Achilles tendon to get to where I need to be. But again, if you're competing on body counts, if you're competing on who can push each other's buttons more, if you're competing on those levels, yeah, that's toxic.
Yeah, that's more of what I'm thinking is, I think just kind of in general, like, because to me, competition is somebody wins, somebody lose. How can somebody win and somebody lose in a relationship?
You're supposed to both be winning.
Thank you. That's why I'm like, it's kind of that's a toxic mentality.
Is that there's a
Like,
winner and a loser in a relationship?
I've got to be better than you in
Well,
certain situations. And really, I'm looking, okay, this is going to be a little controversial perhaps, but I'm looking, it cuts both ways, but the female is supposed to look at, she shouldn't be competing with her dude, because she should automatically like white flag, like he's got it anyway.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't beat him. I can't out whatever him. Like, that's why he's my man. That's why he's the leader. That's why he takes care of things.
but you have
You
to
know what I'm
go
saying?
into the relationship with that mentality.
Right. And then on the flip of that, to a fella, like if all of a sudden you get picked up by Shonda Rhimes and she wants to make you a writer and she's going to pay you a $250,000 salary and all of these other things, like, that's something about me. If I feel all of a sudden like
Damn.
threatened or insecure, or that now all of a sudden the dynamics have shifted or anything of the such. You know what I'm saying?
But remember, we had a conversation with this in the beginning of our relationship. And, I remember saying to you, just because your light is bright doesn't make mine dim, and vice versa.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Right? Hold on a second, let me finish. Because there's a lot of people who, like, I grew up in the church, right? And when you're in the church, there's the organist, there are the singers, there's the lead singer, there's all of this. And sometimes it's the person that just plays the little triangle thing that goes ding. That ding triangle list is just as important as everybody else, because without that ding, it doesn't help the other people, because it signifies a beginning, an end, a middle. It signifies something to everybody else that's in that choir, that's in that band. And I've always recognized that, again, Rob's light might be shining brighter, but it doesn't make mine dim. I'm behind him like, yay, babe, that's amazing. The bright light is leading us down a good path, and vice versa. He always understood that. I sat and, I write these books, and he's like, babe, if any of your books ever get picked up and we're in a situation where the money is coming your way more than it's coming mine, then we're going to sit down and have a conversation to see what makes sense for the both of us. How will it work in terms of our family? What will be impacted? What will we need to change? Because right now, the spotlight's on you. We understood that. So for us, it's not a competition in terms of against each other. Like, I'm my biggest competitor. How much, better can my next book be? You're your biggest competitor. It's like, how much more can I achieve financially? What ladders can I get to get us to where we want to be? That's how we compete in our relationship, but it's never against each other, ever. But we set those boundaries in the beginning because we understood that.
Yeah, I think, again, that's how I don't look at, like, healthy competition. Like, that's a scrimmage, but you're still trying to win. Like, the point of competition is for someone to win, someone has to lose. And that can't be the dynamic in a relationship, because somebody's going to get tired of losing.
Ooh. 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 That is a good point. Somebody does get tired of losing. And then what happens is that they then start, in my mind, sabotaging, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, the other person.
Yeah, or just Yeah, the relationship is, they going through it in slow motion. They going, they sleepwalking through the situation. Like that's, I think that's when it's pretty bad is, when you're dealing with someone that you don't want to be with, but you don't want to be alone, so you rather continue to deal with this person. That's how you have like people calling in the Kendra G, talking about they looking for somebody, but they got old boy in there making a sandwich from earlier this morning, and I guess he just her sex buddy or something like that. But
that was next level.
Most guys, especially these days, is kind of frowning down on that type of energy. Ladies, y'all have definitely backed yourselves into a bit of a corner with the casual sex thing, because brothers ain't really feeling it, because it's like, why would I pay a STK dinner when
you were accepting Applebee's?
Jermaine smashed them cheeks for nothing?
Oh no, not for nothing. Not even Applebee's.
Some dude somewhere, because that's how most women are moving.
Not even Applebee's.
Some dude somewhere is smacking them cheeks for nothing. So why am I STKing it with you? And men are really taking kind of that attitude. Like, if that's the standard, that's the barrier to entry, I'm good. Because again, some guys have a million rules, some guys have no rules. And we're talking about the same woman. And that men understand that a bit better now. And they're just like, so again, when you meet her, she's automatically lets out the scroll of all the things you have to do to be able to get with her. Guys just step off of that. Facts.
I got nothing. I got nothing. No, casual sex definitely has ruined it. I think casual sex is what's led to toxic relationships more and more. And that's why we have heard this term, especially more and more, I think, in the last 10 years. And I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm kind of making a statement at the same time. I would say that's attributed to lack of communication. Because if you're meeting and just fucking right away, what are you talking about? You're not talking about hopes and dreams and childhood and who were your mentors. You're what you like to call, you're getting them cheeks, them buttons.
Whose failure to communicate?
Hers.
Thank you. Hers. What's he supposed to be communicating? He's trying to clap them cheeks. Like, if you're over 12 years old and you don't know that if the guy is being nice to you, it's chances are he's trying to clap them cheeks. Who raised you? They didn't do a good job, because that's how it is for women. You don't have to do anything for a man to want to be with you. I have to do a bit for a woman to want to be with me, especially the older that we get. You know what I mean? But and women finding that out too. You got to do a little bit more the older y'all get too now. Like, it's
I gotta keep it together. I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I'm just saying, y'all.
There's a saying, like in Miami's not a real place, but dudes say it in Miami, like, woman turns 18 every day. Like, facts though. You know what I mean? Like, it's the pond is being refreshed every day when you're a guy,
And that's why we've got to understand of setting the standards, because I'm going to go right back to that casual sex thing. And thank you for bringing it up, babe. Is, again, casual sex, more casual sex has been the start of more toxic relationships. Well, they honestly, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that was the alignment. The more casual sex became, the more toxic, quote unquote, relationships became, because you know what the problem was? They weren't actual relationships in the first place.
Or the sex really wasn't casual. It was entrapment. It was a spider web. She used that wet to try to get you into a situation, get you comfortable, get you okay, get you vibing. Oh, spend the night. Oh, keep a bag here. Oh, keep a change of clothes. Oh, I'm closer to your job. That's not casual. That's like lining up for a relationship.
That's trying to be in a relationship without saying I want to be in a relationship, and just saying I want to be in a relationship.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe it was never casual in the first place. Me personally, like going through my little 304 phase and all of that, I know it wasn't casual, so I would kind of put an expiration date on it.
Yeah, yours was 6 months.
Like, because again, I know we're sooner or later we're gonna get to the point where, so where's this going? And it's just like, then it's more like a mercy kill for me. It's just like, yeah, nowhere. And before I just continue to make you think that maybe you haven't been with the program long enough, or there's something that you can do to change this variable, let me just say, nah, let's just stop seeing each other.
Well, the CHOP team has a good point. Men don't have a timetable, women do.
Facts.
And that is why it's incumbent on us as women to be clear about what we want from a relationship. And I put it in quotations because, again, a lot of you are in relationship with single men. I'm going to take the quotations off and say, if you were serious about being in a relationship with a man, you have to be just, if not more intentional than that man.
And you also got me thinking now that, like, yeah, sometimes, and women, the same women that be, like you said, trying to use sex to entrap men, get them in a relationship, they know it's a difference. Because, like you said, if it was straight up, if you asked him on day one, do you want to be my man? Do you want to be in a committed, monogamous relationship with me? He'd say no.
No.
Even if he did want them cheeks, he'd say still no. No. But
that's not where it's headed.
That's where I like to use the term emotional terrorism. Like, you like to try to get a person involved with you a little bit before you start revealing what you really on, how you really are, and what time it really is. And like, again, that's emotional terrorism. You can't get, again, it's trapping a person into a situation where now maybe they do have a few feelings involved, and then you like, I really got 4 kids in Mississippi that I never told you about. What's that matter though? Because we in love.
People are defining love very differently too.
Yeah, love is kind of watered down. Like, love almost don't mean a damn thing. Like, KRS-One had a song back in the day, "Love's Gonna Get You," and it's like talking about the very thing is like, is the more like less effect that word has not. Now people love things and like lifestyles and like more than they love people.
Well, here's the thing. I remember, and I still say today, I was like, I would rather a man say I got you than I love you. That was always my thing. I wanted a man to generally have me where he's like, I got you. Yeah. Don't worry, I got you. Because I love you. You could love, say I love you, and leave my house, get in your car, and go fuck somebody else. Like, that's how I always looked at it. And as yes, love is important for me. I want love in my life, but I want a man who's got me. I want a man who genuinely thinks about my well-being each and every day. I don't want to be love bombed. And a lot of women, and I'm going to speak to women, a lot of women, they're mistaking a man who's got you for a man who loves you, or a man who loves you for a man who's got you. It's not the same thing until he tells you. Mm-hmm. Until he tells you. Again, until a man has told you those things, stop going into situations with assumptions until he tells you. You got to watch, what is his action saying? And what are his words saying? What is it that's going on? Do they match up? Because again, being in a toxic relationship is often women who were never in a relationship with this man. I can't tell you time and time again where I hear a disagreement between two people, and the woman is saying, no, we were in a relationship, we were in a 6-year relationship, and the guy's like, I'm sorry, I had a whole fiance, we were kicking it. He was in a whole other relationship. Yeah. He was in a whole other things. I used to come over. One guy said specifically on Paternity Court I was watching the other day, he said, yo, I never even took you on a date. You were a late night creep. How we were in a relationship? She said, because you used to come over here all the time. That does not make a relationship.
Nope. But Yeah, that's just a bad situation. And again, that's you've got some help being delusional, thinking that actually does have some type of meaning. But again, that's why it's not casual. Like there's some deception to that
On
because
whose part?
on the woman's part,
Why do you say that?
because I
Solely on
doubt
the woman's
very
part.
seriously that a guy coming through at 12:30, smashing and leaving in the morning is whispering sweet nothings in your ear. Why would he have to when he can come over at 12:30, smash and leave in the morning? What do I got to finesse you for? Unless that's a part of y'all foreplay. Like he has to say sweet nothings to get the juices flowing or something like that. Then yeah, he's dirty macking but you still let him come over at 12:30.
And what's dirty macking for the people that know? Dirty macking is a man saying what
Yeah, it's just
he thinks you
lying,
want to hear.
like men don't have to be dishonest and disingenuous. Like that's kind of that's not masculine. A man's space is kind of predicated on this is what it is. This is logic. This is strategic. This is facts.
Listen, here's the thing. With the world that we're in right now, where it's swipe, all of these different things, talk for 2 days, let's meet up, and I'm meeting up in your home, that's sex. Ladies, that says to a man, you are about that life. If you are swiping, meaning having 2-word conversations online, I don't care if it's Facebook, Instagram, Tinder, whatever sites you guys are meeting on, give it 2, he gets your number, you have a text exchange, not even a phone exchange. He says, what you up to? Now I'm just chilling. You want to have some company? Sure, come over. That says to the man that you're going to have sex.
Ooh.
Any effort he was going to put in prior to that is no longer, because you just opened a door.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Now you just got me thinking, like, I'll be like, men hate being friend zoned and men don't like being friend zoned.
Mm-hmm.
And any man in the friend zone is really just looking for a chance to smack them cheeks, and he's going to take it. And men actually don't mind being in the friend zone if he actually is clapping them cheeks.
Yeah, he'll fix your
That's
shower
that
pipe.
12:30 situation, coming through, spending the night, getting up, leaving in the morning. To him, y'all friends.
So very much so. You're kicking it.
Yeah.
You're cool.
But if you're talking about that's my friend and you're not sleeping with him, he doesn't like that. But if you are sleeping with him, yeah, he definitely, absolutely means y'all are friends. And it's kind of idiotic for you to think you're going to convert that to anything more than that. Because why?
He doesn't need you, because he's getting in his mind what works. Unless you add some more value.
How?
That's the question for you. You're the man. How would a woman who swipe conversation, he's at her house the first date, because that ain't a date to me. A date is you picking me up and taking me out and paying a bill and courting me and dropping me off and bringing me flowers. Like, I've been on some incredible dates. Ain't nobody. There are people I knew for years that don't know where I live.
Okay, if you're in a man's friend zone, because again, he can have sex with you, have sexual access to you, then that is like the cell phone parking lot at the airport and he done took an Uber.
I'm confused.
Men are not gonna make the friend with benefits
Their girlfriend.
Why? Because he could be friends with benefits with you.
And what's the point of moving the goalposts? She tries to move the goalposts.
She does. If I wanted you as my girlfriend,
I would have made you that.
You wouldn't be a friend with benefits. That's the part that needs to be understood.
Ouch. I'm just going to sit. Wow. That is accurate. What, ladies, did y'all hear that?
So yeah, sometimes they be like, "Oh, that's my sneaky link." It's like, yeah, it's good for him. It's still bad for you because he's never gonna take you from sneaky link to main squeeze. Like, why would he? You're a sneaky link. He can call you after his 20 shots at the club, airballed, and hit you up, and still have like.
Yeah, are you the girl who the guy sends 10, hey, what's up, big head to, and you just happen to be the one that answers, so you're the one who gets the attention for the night? Because you answered and opened that door that he wanted open, and everybody else was like, ain't nobody got time for your foolishness.
Yep. I think y'all be finding yourselves in all kinds of interesting situations.
And those end up
under the guise of casual sex. Oh, I got needs too. So your needs have costs.
Facts, and they're called babies. Unwanted situations. One night stand babies.
Now he can come knocking on your, darkening your door anytime he wants to, because I want to see my kids.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that this toxic relationship word is used in relationships where there was an actual foundation, where there was an actual courting process? And I'm granted to say vetting process, because here's the thing. I think a solid relationship required a vetting process. It's like going through the job interview process. As much as the company's interviewing you, you're also interviewing them. Rob was recently through that. We had a couple of companies on our list, and there was one we thought was going to be a winner, and he had a bad experience. He communicated that to me, and I was like, we're done. Like, they dropped from the top to way at the bottom. We're like, we don't even really want to continue this process, because again, they were vetting us, we were vetting them. So if you've gone through a courting and a vetting process to get into a relationship, do those relationships end up turning toxic? Or is it again the casual, we are in a relationship but we're not, because we're actually doing relationship stuff that isn't defined as a relationship?
That's where I think more of what it is. I don't think that those relationships happen, those poor mismatches, those highly incompatible situations happen if y'all are talking about where's this going. Y'all are having sex early, and that's kind of the basis for the relationship. It isn't a relationship other than there's two people together having sex. You know what I'm saying? But there really isn't much of a look. Let's be honest. It's pretty easy to like and talk to someone after you've had sex with them.
Yeah, the whole adrenaline is going, and there's happy drugs and endorphins going on in your body.
She's mad cool. How many times have you heard that from a dude who she wound up being hella not mad cool, but actually very angry and violent and frustrated? You know what I'm saying? But if you're coming over at 12:30, y'all talking for 15, 20 minutes before you fall asleep. And then, yeah, somehow he's like, yo, this is chill. This is easy. This is cool. But she's got a whole other thing going on in her mind. And it's really just a matter of time before it's like, okay, this is your 15th time coming through. We're in a relationship now.
Well, you just said a word that I think people might have missed, and that word was easy. The guy says, this is easy. This is cool. He didn't have to work for it. Is there something to be said about how much a man values something he didn't really have to work for? If he had to put in work for the cheeks or the date or whatever it is that he's after, he's going to value it a little bit more. So if he loses it, it might sting. But if he didn't put in work for it and he loses it, he's like, next. Is that kind of the mentality? Or am I just...
We've had this conversation kind of before. It's like, I use a simple example of like date nights, opening doors. Like, I'm the type, I'm not going to assume that you're the open the door, for walk over to the passenger side, open the door, put you in the car, and then come around to the driver's side type, you're gonna have to let me know that. You're gonna have to require that. You're gonna.
Oh no, I require
I'm
that.
not gonna put no requirements on myself because I'm too busy seeing what you're on as far as getting to know
I agree.
That's how I think a smart guy is gonna go about it, especially one that it ain't his first rodeo or nothing like that. Because again, we talked earlier about different prices. I always approached it as I'm trying to pay the minimum price.
Oh shit.
Because I'm not looking for nothing like that right now. So I'm always trying to pay the minimum price. You know what I mean? Like, so why would I be going above it? Because again, there's a certain, there would be stuff that I would consider too expensive. It's like, oh yeah, she wants this, that, the third, and the fifth. I'm like, yeah, no, that's. I don't care if she thinks I'm cute. I'm good. Because I don't want to put that much effort into something that's only going to last 6 months.
Damn, I'm over here thinking, what price did you pay for me?
Oh, jeez. But I think that's also what, another point that we having is like, but dating is a process. Learning how to date, learning how to be selective. Look, you can, let's say being in toxic relationships like in your 20s, let's chalk it up to just growing pains, learning experience, But there's people that still be in that shit.
In their 40s.
40s, sometimes still the same relationship. And it's like, as you get older, you should be maturing. The same things that got my juices flowing when I was 19 should not be thrilling and effervescent to me now. They should be old. Like that should be stuff that I then did. Like that should.
I agree.
I should not be excited. We should not be excited. Yeah. And trying to do things I have not accomplished yet. Not, man, I was the man in '96. Boy, you should have seen me.
And I'm going to try to recreate that moment. Let me ask you this, because this is an action that people will always say, well, that made the relationship toxic. Does cheating alone make a relationship toxic?
If the woman can't get over it and decide she's not going to leave him, that's guaranteed to be toxic.
So repeat that. If the woman cannot get over it.
She can't get over it and she ain't going to leave. That's guaranteed toxic.
So I'm not going to leave you, but I'm also not going to forgive you for what you've done. And we're going to stay in this place for eternity.
So why do you think I'm staying around? What other reason is there to stay around? You don't really want the relationship anymore, but you don't want to leave. What seems like the most likely reason to stay?
Well, the most likely reason to stay is that you don't want to be back out in the streets.
No, it's to make him pay.
Oh.
Let's be real. Too many women, and especially too many women, will get high fives from other women of, oh, he hurt me, so I'm going to hurt him.
But how does it hurt him for me to stay with the cheater? Because it's a constant reminder of the infidelity. Again, if we're not going to move forward, because we talked about this.
It's like, but again, that man will make a decision a lot quicker than you, especially when you do certain like backstabbing type of stuff. Like, oh, okay, so I met a girl at the club and had too many drinks and she was just super fast, so I went home with her.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And because of that, you are going to go seduce my best friend.
Oh, no.
How is that going to help us get back together?
It doesn't at all.
You created you created a whole extra additional problem because just what I did was bad and was wrong, but I would make the argument that what you did was
worse because it was calculated and planned.
And it was meant
and intentional.
To get a certain type of response and cause harm and pain in a place that you knew mattered to me.
And I mean, I know we talked about before as well that if there's infidelity in the relationship, there's no point in staying if you're not okay with forgetting and forgiving and moving forward from that point on. It's now a brand new relationship. It is not a continuation of the old relationship. Once it is revealed that that person has cheated and you've gone through the process and the hurt and the pain, it is starting over.
I got one because I heard my boy Corey Holcomb say this when he was doing an interview, and he said, talking about his ex, and it was a complicated situation from the perspective of, legally there's still the issue there or whatever, but he's completely moved on in a whole different situation, moving on with his life. And one of the things that kind of had me tripping about this interview is when he said to the effect that, like, when you get to a certain place and you value your peace and your like, and you understand who you are, you're just okay with that. Like he said, he was straight honest. He's like, I ain't never been with just one woman, ever. Every one of these women left me for stuff I was doing from the very beginning. How much sense does that make?
So they accepted.
You accepted it to start the relationship, but you left him because it continued. What motivation would he have to change it?
Because if you love me enough, you'll change.
No, man, that's some dumb.
No, but that's the truth.
No.
If I show you the type of woman I am, you'll change. I'm going to show you that I'm the best thing that's ever happened to you. I'm good. That's what a lot of, and to me, that's toxic. To me, coming in knowing that I'm the side chick, but thinking that if I put in the work, I'm going to be the main chick, because even if I end up as the main chick, he's just going to replace me as a side chick with another side chick.
But that's kind of like the Indian guy was saying, like, most people look at love as you have to do what I say. They don't look at it as, that no, you have to accept that person as they are.
As they come.
Like, so again, if you're a wild animal and you can't not be with a new girl every week, why would you ever try to think that he would change that because of how much he loved you or cared about you?
But here's the difference. This is where it comes in. There's a difference between being with the person you want versus being with the person who wants you. The person you want is the person who you're going to accept the bad behavior for, because they're clearly, I don't want you like that. But the person who wants you is going to display to you the actions to show you that they want you. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people, and I'm going to say especially women, simply because there are more women than men in this world. There are a lot of women trying to change men they want and ignoring the men that want them.
Do people exhibit higher levels of professionalism in executive level positions or entry level positions?
Executive level.
Exactly, because they care more about losing their job.
Facts. Because they make more money. They have more invested.
Your job provides more utility in their life. When you're entry level and that's just kind of how you play in the game, everything's just a job. Oh, I get another job. Our jobs is $1 million.
Yeah, $35,000 versus $90,000 a year is a huge difference. So yeah, I'm gonna operate very differently at $90,000 a year.
You're gonna have a very different how you handle your attendance, how you handle your call-ins, how you handle everything is gonna be different, because one person is invested and cares, and the other person is like, yeah, if this job fails, I'll just go get a new job.
And so a lot of women are operating in spaces where the entry level, and the man sees them as the man sees them as an entry level job.
Right. And if that's how you moving, why would he come in acting like Jamie Dimon?
Damn, ladies, stop being entry level jobs for these men. Seriously.
All you gotta do is fill out an application. Show up on Monday.
And you got the job. Damn. That one hurt a little bit. No, that one hurt a little bit. And I'm going to go back to it. Stop being in relationships and putting out for men that you want who have not displayed that they want you. And listen, I get it. People say it's tough out here. Rob and I talk about it all the time. We would not want to be back out in this single bond at all. And this is why we talk about, we're not trying to be out here and be couple goals. We are just two people working really hard to stay together. At 42 and 46, we have accepted that this is where we're going to be. And we are committed to the commitment of our relationship, because again, to try to do this again, I'm sure we would be successful. I mean, we're attractive, smart people, but we don't want to.
Here's the problem. Here's part of my problem with women is, and why I think that y'all should not be selecting. To me, a woman's nature is if you have $10, you're gonna try to spend $9.99
Okay.
in the sexual marketplace. You feel what I'm saying?
Okay.
If you've got $10, you're gonna try to get $10 worth. But when you're doing that, you're not realizing that that $10 worth has a lot more headroom above him.
Mm-hmm.
Then you spent all your money to get this dude.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't spend
a dime
to be with you. And you wonder why he wound up with somebody else. That's why women shouldn't select. Because when you get selected, you have to shop within his budget.
But here's the thing. Are women truly selecting, or are they just making it easy for the men that they want?
No, they're validating themselves like, oh, he had sex with me. So yeah, I won.
What?
I chose.
You won being a baby mama? You
Being
won
baby mama being
because a baby mama is not a title. It's not a title of honor. Like, I am nobody's baby mother. I have someone's child. I am the mother of someone's child, but I'm not someone's baby mama. I don't find value in being, okay, I'm baby mama number one. No, I have a child with someone. I'm the mother of someone's child.
No, that's what we're getting. Like, some things we got too far away from tradition, man. We really just did.
Like, being a baby mama is a title.
I really think, like, married before you carry. And like you said, our parents were toxic and weren't doing that stuff. But it was not as rampant as this. And it didn't.
Because there was shame around certain behaviors.
Right. It was still like, yo, that's not cool what y'all doing.
Because
nowadays, you high five, like,
here's the thing.
High five being on paternity court.
I grew up in a space and time to this day where there are certain things you keep at home, for good or for bad. There are people who can argue on both sides that, you know what, doing that stay at home has created certain, behaviors in the Black families that people don't talk about. We need to talk about, R. Kelly, Robert Kelly, I should say, and what happens in sexual abuse situations at home. And there are people who argue on the other side and say that's how it's supposed to stay. There are certain behaviors that are supposed to be dealt with at home. You have a family council, your grandmama comes and everybody comes and you talk up the situation. It's not for public consumption. And so I grew up in a time when there's certain things that happen within the family that are not for public consumption. You deal with it at home, you tidy it up at home, but no one knows.
How's that?
That's not working but people are not doing that right now. They're putting everything out there.
Well, because Big Mama 42.
Oh my God, no.
And she's still on Tinder.
Sorry. I have nothing. I have nothing to say to that. Big Mama is 42 and still on Tinder. And that's why the structure of everything. And it's not even that, because I think...
Because, again, going back to the daddies, maybe...
Yeah.
Like you said, the lack of accountability in modern society has pervaded even maternity and giving birth.
Okay, elaborate.
Too many children, I think, are born from the perspective of, if once I have this baby, then he's going to have, still trying to change the situation.
Once I have this baby, he's going to change.
Or he's going to have to do at ABC, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3.
If he wasn't doing
he's going to have to take care of it.
Take care of what?
The baby.
No, he doesn't.
I know that at least women back then, because the shame around it, had enough sense to understood if you got pregnant in that manner, he probably wasn't gonna be taken.
And that's why they had things like shotgun weddings, where fathers actually went with shotguns to the home of the young man who got their daughters pregnant or granddaughters pregnant and put that shotgun and said, you better make my daughter or granddaughter an honorable woman. That's how shotgun weddings became. It was actually shotguns. People look these things up, right? There was so much shame. There were people who sent babies away, sent the teenage girls away. Then they went away to wherever they went. They came back, there was a baby. And guess what? The mother will pretend it's hers, or the baby was adopted, or anything happened. We sent her away to school and she came back and everything was good, because there wasn't a pride. There was no baby mama number 4 songs.
It's fraud. It's, again, you're advertising, we're hooking up. But if you get pregnant, you're trying to start a family. So that's fraud.
Well, one night stand babies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's crazy. That's fraud.
One night stand babies. But again, I think, but that's right? Getting into, so that's toxic. Getting into a situation under false pretenses. Who the toxic person is the person who went in under the false pretenses. A man saying, yo, I just want to kick it. And me saying, yeah, I want to kick it too. Knowing that, honestly, I planned our wedding in my head. Understanding that I want a future with you, but telling you I want to kick it. Listen, again, if you want a man and he doesn't want you, cut it. Because a man's actions will clearly show you he doesn't want you. He will never be around when you're in need. He's not coming to change a light bulb. He's not coming to change, again, remember Uncle Kevin used to always say the telltale sign of a single woman is the stupid beep, 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 beep in their fire alarm. That man's not coming to go up and change the battery in your fire alarm.
Unless he's having sex.
And even then, when he's having sex, he's still not doing it.
I've heard some interesting stories where, again, it didn't get to the point where the man don't even want that no more.
And so we have to consider when we're saying things are toxic, who is toxic? Is it the other person? Is it truly you? Did you go into a situation under false pretenses, knowing you wanted something else, but thinking that if you gave in, that person would in turn then want you? And men do it too. Men do it too, that to try to get out of the friend zone or whatever the case might be. But the reality is this is predominantly a female thing to do.
Well, yeah.
So what do you say for women who constantly find themselves, before we go to our question and answer bowl, who constantly find themselves in toxic relationships? What advice would you give to those women?
Stop picking men.
Do you think that's why that's happening?
I think that's the number one cause of toxic relationships is you chose him. You wanted him. And again, using the ranking system, the 8 guy having sex with the 5 girl does not change his mind about what he wants.
Facts.
Which is not a 5, it's an 8 or a 9 or a 10, because that's how he sees himself.
Yes. Because again, you said before, a man at this level wants what a man at this level gets.
Thinks
she now qualifies for 8. And now then she thinks she's with a 9 or 10. Up
because she's had this experience and
that's not the reality of her life.
That was out your league. Like, how did it get to the concept that women are out of their league? That's masculine.
And
that's like you make 40,000, but you trying to get a woman that's used to living on 100,000. Like, you out your league. That's a masculine term. Just the same way you say that to a man. Lady, you're out your league. You know what I'm saying? You're, as Kevin said it, average at best. And you trying to get a guy who women don't pay the price.
And with that, we are going to go to our question and answer bowl. Ladies, don't be average at best.
There's nothing wrong with being average at best.
No, but the whole point of average at best is she didn't realize she was average at best, and she was out of her league, because what she wanted, she didn't even know how to access, because it didn't want her.
Don't be swinging for homers when you got double strength.
All right. And I'll go first. What is your favorite memory of our relationship? I think we share the same favorite memory. It was that trip. The trip we took, the cross country trip. I think traveling for us is a good thing. I think road trips for us are a good thing. I think we had a really good experience on that trip, and it's my favorite memory of our relationship.
Um, what's the most risky place you have ever had sex? Oh, so you were feeling raunchy.
Interesting question.
I would probably say casino because I'm pretty sure if they catch you, they're gonna arrest you.
What was this experience? A casino doing what and
I'm
where?
not about to get into all of that. This was like ages ago, like freaking forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
You asked the question.
Mm-hmm. Would you rather have car sex or shower
Oh
sex?
God, is this whole bowl full of sex questions?
Probably. I would.
Somebody. Hey, it's one of those good problems, folks.
Back to my question for the people to hear it. Would you rather have car sex or shower sex? I would rather have shower sex, but Rob hates it. Again, being 6'9" and things moving, he's just not about that life. And so
I get my custom shower.
Exactly.
I'm more enthusiastic.
We make compromises.
Who's still having car sex?
A lot of people are. It's a thing.
Which was sneaking off in the garage to get away from the kids or something.
That, or some people just find it a thing, like coming home from night.
It's kind of like
being 6'9", there's a lot of things that are out of the question.
Thrilling experience for me. If you could have, all of these are sex questions. If you could have sex in any location in the world, where would it be? Somewhere tropical on a big old yacht that people could not have access to.
So my private yacht in Bali.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Sounds like a plan. Okay.
Awesome.
Second to last question for me, and it will be. It is all sex questions. So
somebody was on one.
So this question is, what's the most sex you've had in a day? It was 8 times. That's all we're gonna say.
See, now I could be like, oh, really?
No, I have no problem telling you about it. If you were to ask, but you're not asking. If you asked, I will tell you exactly what I was doing.
Who is a bigger flirt? She is. I don't like y'all that much.
Do you think I flirt?
No, neither one of us are really flirts, but you're more affable than I am. Like, most times when strangers come up to me, I am counting down to when they leave me alone.
Well, it's because the question usually surrounding you is, oh my God, can I ask you how tall you are? And then the follow-up questions is, did you play basketball? But you know what's been funny happening these days is people don't ask you, they actually ask me. I don't think you've been noticing that people, like, especially little old ladies, they end up asking me, which is funny and cute.
You get a better results
talking to me than him. It is true. So last question for me, and then you'll pick your last question. And so the last question for me is there anyone you would swap lives with for 24 hours? This question should be obvious, and like there's somebody that always pops in my head. And I'm just gonna go with the obvious answer, Beyonce.
Oh.
I would swap lives with Beyonce for 24 hours. I would love to pick her husband's brain on business. I would love to move in the circles that she is and just absorb everything in 24 hours that makes Beyonce who Beyonce is. But more important, honest, it's because I would want to. So I think Jay-Z's brilliant. I think he's a brilliant businessman, and I would love to just kind of understand how he thinks.
I can get that. If we hadn't met each other, where would you be right now?
Oh God, that's a damn good question.
Probably single, fatherhood, focusing on getting what I want. I think again you were able to get through, and because of your exceptionalism, I was not. Again, you notice I was not in a place where I was really looking for a relationship. So I don't see myself like, oh, you're definitely not like plug and play, like, oh, just insert some other woman here and we'd be having the same things going on. No, I think again, I'd be more just focused on my personal life and my kids.
Good to know I'm not just plug and play, ladies, and that's what you want from your man. You don't want to be just like he thinks that he can just replace you very easily.
Well, that's how you get replaced very easily.
There's that.
Duh. I heard some chick on one of them shows. I think it was that Fresh and Fit.
Oh God, you like that show?
And I don't like it, but I like how they get them to talk. And what Shorty says something like, "What I need to know how to cook for. Why don't we just have a personal chef so I can have sex with you all day? I can focus on having sex with you all day." And I was like, no man that can afford a personal chef can afford to have sex all day.
That part.
And why would he want to?
That whole part. And we're gonna leave that there, but that would have went over their head though.
Yeah, because they're thinking about it from their perspective. They're not thinking about what
that man has to put in order to make the money to be able to give somebody thousands upon thousands of dollars a year. A personal chef is a good one. It's costing you a six-figure to come in and be exclusive for you. They're not thinking about that. To them, in their mind, it releases me of a responsibility I don't want. And again, because we keep being told that our pom-poms are valuable, and they're not. They're not. They're actually, nowadays, not at all when they can be replaced. They're creating literal mannequins and dolls to replace us.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Right?
But to each his own, like them.
But you understand?
We're just following the lead. Y'all been having the toys and all options, and technology done got good.
There are a bunch of men who would rather those dolls than real women.
I've seen where it's scary. Good house. They have $10,000 and $15,000 and $20,000 sex dolls.
Yes, with the skin, the silicone skin, and it stops, and it's a whole thing.
Are like
real women,
real replacements.
Because the men are like, I don't want to deal with.
If I don't want to do, if he's just like, really, you're just a trophy wife, anyways. I got something for your ass. Got something for your ass.
So it is tough in these streets. But again, they were toxic, so why'd you stay was our topic. And often the times the other person wasn't the toxic one, you were. Right. Let's just call it what it is. Ladies, stop calling sexual casual relationships because they're not relationships. Just because you put the term relationship at the end of something doesn't make it so. Sometimes it's just sex.
Yeah. You cannot substitute dating for a relationship. You can't just go on. You should still be dating is basically what I'm saying.
Facts.
And you might avoid some of these issues.
Big facts. So we want to thank everybody who joined us. Thank you, Twins Inkle, who was very active. Thank you for all your comments today. As usual, we want to thank our sponsors, Sorrel and Sage. Please visit them at shop.sorrelandsage.com on their website, or Sorrel and Sage CA is their Instagram. They make skincare products and self-care products for the sensitive soul. As usual, again, we want to encourage you to bring a little fuck your feelings into your life because it might just make you stay together. Robert, any last words?
No, thanks for joining us. See you next Thursday.
Bye. You got hot.